Resident Evil Village was released to great fanfare and success back in May of 2021. After a surprisingly long time, the first and seemingly only expansion for the game has finally arrived, titled Shadows of Rose. Alongside it comes a new multiplayer game titled Reverse, and a third-person camera for the base and expansion campaigns, along with new Mercenaries content. My goodness. Let's take a look at this big new Resident Evil Village Gold Edition package and see if it's worth it for new and longtime fans of the series alike. Let's start with a short breakdown of the base RE8 aka Village campaign, which stars Ethan Winters, who is a big goober. After a seemingly peaceful transition to family life after the horrific events of Resident Evil 7, Ethan, his wife Mia, and their daughter Rose are living in seclusion under the protection of Chris Redfield, the big boulder-punching hunk. Things once again go sideways, and Ethan eventually finds himself entrapped in a mysterious village full of lycanthropes and other monsters. The story of Village is decently told, though the main voice acting from Ethan is terrible, and it just drags everything down whenever he talks. There are some great characters and tons of classic Resident Evil puzzle work, alongside competent shooting and movement mechanics. The main change for the base campaign in the Gold Edition is the availability of a third-person camera if you own this expansion pass. And it does seem really weird to lock a camera behind DLC, but I can imagine that it was a lot of work that was done to integrate this new perspective as smoothly as they have. Plenty of cutscenes still do default to the first person, but the entire playable part of the game works well with the over-the-shoulder perspective. Playing on a Series X, the game looks great, and at 60 frames per second with ray tracing enabled, I only saw occasional dips in the most heated combat. The Village campaign is good, but it does fall a bit short of the scares I felt in Resident Evil 7. Though the castle's inhabitants look incredible, the RE engine is flexing its muscles big time throughout. The other major part of the expansion pass is the expansion itself, starring Ethan and Mia's daughter, titled Shadows of Rose. Setting up the story of the expansion would be incredibly spoiler-filled for anyone that hasn't played the base campaign, so I'll just get into it and say that Rose has something she no longer wants, and she must enter a weird, dreamlike world to try and get rid of it. Inside said world, you'll have powers to use that are not in the base game, alongside some fun-to-use weaponry. The entire expansion only takes about 3 hours, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. I actually found it a lot scarier than the base campaign most of the time, as it was more disturbing in its imagery and themes. And I'm curious to see where the game heads for its next mainline entry, especially as this expansion was a large time jump. Village's Gold Edition also offers you access to the new multiplayer game Reverse, and it's truly terrible. Resident Evil has a long history of bad multiplayer attempts, and this is probably one of the worst. You start out each deathmatch as a human of your choice, and when you die, you mutate into various monsters, depending on how many T-Virus vials you found while still living. Graphically, I don't think it looks very good with the comic book filter being terrible, so I turned that off. It also controls terribly, has really bad balance issues, and is just not fun. Finally, we have a bit of content added into the Mercenaries mode, which is a lot more fun. It's a Horde-style, more arcade-focused PvE mode where you'll take on enemies from the main game. And you can play as various boss characters as well, which is a ton of fun, because now you can be the big lady stepping on people. In conclusion, Resident Evil Village's Gold Edition is a solid way to experience the full campaign and all its extra content for newcomers and old hats alike. It's $50 for the entire thing, or you can spend $20 if you already own Village and just want the expansion pack. While Reverse is a huge miss, the third-person camera, expansion, and Mercenaries content more than make up for it.
Why is everyone dying on me?
As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you can like, comment, subscribe, and maybe even join our channel, it'll really help us grow. And we'll see you here next time on XboxEra.